Hi everyone, this is Tyler Constable with Avantra, and welcome to the dashboarding training video. In here we're going to show you a lot of cool things you can do with dashboards. There's a lot of different flexibility you have with Avantra, and how to build out different dashlets and use those check selectors and system selectors that we talked about in earlier training videos, and build out a really nice looking dashboard that you can use yourself, share with your peers, or even give access to someone that does not have access to Avantra via a link. So looking forward to it, and looking forward to showing you around.
When logging into Avantra, you'll see there's the monitoring dropdown and dashboards. Now in here, you'll see all the different dashboards you have. And you'll see there's a little globe here. This can become important a little bit. Anything without a globe means only I can see the dashboards that I have created. There's a little globe there that means anyone who has access to this particular customer, or even if you're an enterprise or a managed service provider, if you don't have access to that customer and you do not have access to dashboards, you won't be able to see that. For this example, we're going to start out from scratch here. So I'm going to select new, and I'm going to call this our training dashboard 1. Now I could add a description, and I can also make it relevant for a specific customer. In this example, I'm just going to say create. Now, before we get into adding dashlets, you'll see on the top right, there's a couple different things. There's our exit edit mode. This takes us out of edit mode, meaning we can't, essentially the dashboard will be live and we can't select anything. There's the configure. This is where we get into the configuration of the dashboard. So a couple of very important things in here. Do we want to suppress the title bar, which is this little thing up here? Do we want to add a description? Again, customer, if we want to do that. Do we want to use system selectors? So in other words, we can help kind of separate the data on the dashboard via a system selector. There's the shared. So this was going back when we saw that little globe. Do I want to make this available to any person that has access to dashboards and access to a specific customer if that's selected here? And then there's a floating layout. What this means is all the little tiles and dashlets we're about to create will move around depending on our screen resolution. So if someone logs in and he sees a global dashboard, a shared dashboard, it has a smaller screen resolution, the dashlets will move to the screen resolution. The floating layout means the dashlets will be stuck and they'll have to scroll left and right. So it's kind of, there's pros and cons to both. It's personal preference. For this example, I'm just going to do a non-floating layout. You'll see here a URL. So essentially whatever we build out, we can pass to anyone, even if they don't have access within Avantra. Right? So if you're a managed service provider, this means you can provide your customers access. If you want to pass it on to upper management or maybe a functional team, or maybe even have it up on a manufacturing line, you can do that as well. You can have an auto logon user. All this means is that whoever clicks this link, it'll automatically pop up. The purpose for the user means that they won't have to log in. They won't be able to click past the dashboard. This is really important. They'll just get the dashboard. They won't be able to click past it. But what this does is give them the type of view that they have, right? So here's my user. Maybe I only have access, if I'm a managed service provider, maybe I only have access to 3 of my 20 customers. That way, when I log into the dashboard, I'll only see the availability for those 3 customers. So in this case, we'll just keep it open, meaning that when they log in, when they click this link, they're gonna have to log in here as well. Then down here, we've got some different color schemes. If you can upload an image to the background, so on and so forth. You can change the height and width of the dashlets. This gets into some very advanced dashboarding where you can start to change the sizes and put in arrows and graphs. You can do some very, very impressive things here. In this example, or one of the things I would recommend is to change this to kind of a white here. I just like to click as far up as I can. I like the white background. You can maybe, I know some people like the dark background as well. One thing is to note the dashlets will not change, so you'll just kind of have a very dark background with a bunch of white boxes on it. And we'll select apply. So here you see our modifications are now there. And now let's go ahead and let's add some dashlets. So I'm going to simply just click add dashlet. On the left-hand side are all my categories. I can also search for anything that's here as well. So as I select here, everything on the left-hand side is just going to come down to the specific what I want to look at here. I'm just going to all here. So the first things first, let's just go ahead and add a single system. So this is just going to be the up-down system. So I'm just going to say SAP systems, and let's just look at this common here. Simple as that. How many of the checks are in what status do apply? So I've got 24 green checks for this particular system and no others. But let's say now I want to look at multiple systems. I want the same thing, but I want to cross multiple systems. This is where your knowledge in system selectors are going to become important, right? So again, if you've not already reviewed the system and check selectors, please do so. But this is where we can now start to look at multiple systems. So I'm going to come in here and do a multi-system status. I could build out a system selector directly in here, but I'm just going to use one of them that we already have. Let's just select the all SAP systems, and I can pick what kind of chart type I want. Let's just start with a pie chart. We'll do apply. So across everything here, we've got 54 that are going, 4 that are down. All right, so 4 systems that are currently disabled. I'm going to select another add dashlet here. Let's say I want to look at the let's see here, system availability of a single system. So I'm just going to select what kind of system I want. Let's select that same system we were just looking at before. Then it shows how many days. Let's say I want the availability over the last 7 days. The grid width is going to be 2. Grid height is going to be 1. You can see here. Let's say I don't like this name of this here. This goes for any dashlet. I can select the little configure button here, and I'll make a modification. So I want to call this system availability, and this is in our training dashboard. As simple as that. I can now select apply. All right. You'll also see in here the refresh rate. So you can see that one just turned. Essentially how fast these change. So here you can see we want it to be 10 seconds every minute. And this one, the default is every hour. So this is set not at a global level, but at each individual dashlet. This will also take effect when you provide the link that we showed earlier. That will take effect in that as well. So in this case, we'll just keep it as that. So very simply here, what we just did in a couple clicks, we just added a single system. We added multiple systems grouped together by a system selector, and then we added the overview of a single system as well. But now let's say we want that daily check overview, kind of that heat map. If you're familiar, if you've seen the reporting video or even the checks video, I can easily look at that as well. So let's do our daily check overview. And I'm going to use the check selector. Let's see here. What's one to pick? Let's pick our, not sure which one. Let's just pick this one to see how this works. The number of days, let's go back 5 days. This is going to be a 4x3. We'll see if this is the right one. If not, we can change it. So yeah, it looks like this will be okay. Now you can see there's a lot of white area here. So I'm going to go back and change that. I can either change the size of this box, or what I can do is maybe move this. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to click and drag it and move it on top of the box I want to move it on top of. You'll see the box will go blue when the system recognizes what I want it to do. So I'm going to move it. You see everything kind of just adjusts as necessary. Maybe I want to move this one all the way up here, and the box will go blue on the one I want to select. There it is. Now let's modify this a little bit. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say, all right, maybe I want the last 10 days. And I want the height to be 4 because I don't think we're getting everything. So there we go. In fact, I could probably even make this a little shorter. So let's make this a width of 3. Oops, a height of 4. And there we go. So now I have my daily check overview. And I've got some system statuses here as well. Let's say this particular system, let's say it interacts with some other systems here as well. So I can actually come in here and I can say, all right, what's the health of those other systems that it interacts with? So I'm just going to come in here and this time I'm going to do an ad hoc. Let's just do some SAP systems. And again, if you're familiar with system selectors, this should be pretty familiar with you. I'm just going to select a couple things here. Let's say it connects to this PI system. Let's say it connects to, let's just pick the dev system here as well, maybe the CD1. So just grabbed a couple systems here. And I'm going to make this I can look at individual checks, so on and so forth. Let's make a grid height of 2, see if that fits, do apply. And now I can see the health of the systems that maybe this one connects to, right? So here you can see just a couple of examples. This is essentially saying, here's the system of this system, here's how many things are up or down, so on and so forth, right? Now, again, maybe you want to look at the amount of changes that are going on in the environment, right? So if you're familiar with the changes, you can come in here and select changes. So maybe I can search for it up here. Let's do changes. And here it is. So let's look at how many changes there are. And let's just define which systems we want to look at. Let's just look at, using our system selector here, so we can see how many changes have been occurring. And maybe I want to look at SLAs as well. All right, so come in here and look at different SLAs for different systems. Here's the SLA violations, unplanned downtime. How many violations have we had? Again, let's just select our predefined system selector. And now we've got an idea of how many times we've hit our SLA. Pretty good for May and June. Now let's say we want to look at a specific check, right? Maybe there's a bank interface check we have that's very, very important, and we don't want to have to click in anything to go see it. We want that one particular check, or we want to go look at, let's just say, CPU load. So I can come in here and select my Add Dashlet, and I'm scroll down here to my RTM check. I'm going to select an RTM check, and let's say CPU is very important for us. So we're going to say CPU server. We're going to select the server question and select the check. So let's come down here and see our CPU load, and we'll select apply. So now I have one check, right? So again, here we're looking at our daily check, kind of like our report, looking at what are the health of the systems that maybe connect to this one. We want to look across multiple systems. We want to look at a single system, availability of that system, all the way down to a single check in that system. So we can go from a very high level view down to a very low level view as well. So I'm going to move some things around here just to make this look a little bit different here. So I'm going to move this up here. Maybe our SLA violations we want to move over here. And our changes, oops, looks like I didn't hit that correctly. It's blue there. And then maybe our changes up in the top corner here. Okay. Now let's say, this one check is nice, but I want to look at the most critical things going on in this environment. So I'm going to go to what's called our list. So this is going to show all critical and warning checks going on in my environment. So I'm going to select that. This is going to go 5 wide by 2 high. Select apply. And now I have the most critical things going on in my environment on my dashboard as well. Right? Now let's also say that I want to look at not just CPU load, but I also want to get a chart on that as well. So I can come down here and get into our charts. So I can come in here, let's select a server of a chart. So that same chart here. And I'm going to say, let's see here, what's something, maybe memory used. We'll see if we get that one to go. If that doesn't work, we'll modify it. But let's just go back 3 days. This is going to be a 2 by 1 for 2 width and 1 height. Select apply. And we'll give it just a minute here. If not, we'll make that, there it goes. So you can see now the memory used as well. Now we can also add a logo as well. So let's come in on here and we'll say a logo. Now in this scenario, you can either add a picture here, or you can add via the web. Nice because it'll modify as need be. So here I've got these Wayne Enterprises here. I'm just going to right click it and I'm going to select the copy image address. All right. So not copy link, the copy image address. After that, I'm just going to put that in here as well. And I'm going to select the hide dashlet border, stretch the image, and select apply. So now I'll have here in just a second, there's my company logo there as well. And now let's say we also have a scenario where we have automatic starting and stopping. So if you haven't already done so, you see the automations training session. In there, we talk about a scenario where maybe on non-production systems, we bring down SAP and the public cloud server. Maybe it's running on AWS, GCP, Azure, or Alibaba. We bring those down over the weekend. But one time there's a developer that logs in, comes in on Saturday, and they want to be able to start those systems up, right? So I can come in here and add those. Now they'll be able to start and stop those as well, right? So we have different scenarios here. We can go in and start and stop those systems. Now, obviously that's going to require certain permissions, so on and so forth. That can be pretty locked down. So this is just an example of what can be done in that scenario. Now let's just go ahead and just add one last thing here. So we can add business services. If you're familiar with the business services, we can add business services. Show how many different tickets are there, how many so on and so forth. Let's just add a symbol, right? Maybe we want to add an arrow. If we want, there are certain checks, between different checks, we can add different symbols, so on and so forth. In this, let's just do, pretty simple. Let's just do a little chevron right here. And we can change the color as we see fit. Select apply. So this might become valuable if you want to look at certain checks. There's check here that's dependent on a different check. You can actually map it out as well. So in pretty short order here, I'm going to click exit edit mode. We created a pretty nice looking dashboard. It took, as you saw, just a couple minutes. And what's nice now is I went into out of edit mode, and now you'll see a handful of these have little arrows. And what that means is this is where you can go in and actually click for more information, right? So, daily dashboard, there's not much more information there. You can click in anywhere and get that information. But here for like CPU or so on and so forth, let's say the system status, you want to see, okay, which of the 4 are in that status? I can click here, and the tab will open up. It'll take me right to the dashboard. I'm sorry, within the system part of the Avantra tab that is corresponding to that. So that's how you can kind of click around. Now, you'll also remember that we talked about being able to provide a link. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to go into edit and select the configure. And in here, I'm going to first just set it to automatically log in as myself. I'm going to copy and paste this, select apply, open up a new tab. And in here, you can now see the dashboard. Now I can't click into anything, I can't do anything. It's just visual graphic. And again, the only reason why you have to select a user is because, as I'll show you in just a few minutes, we can actually parse the data that is on this screen to specific customers or groups, however we break that down. So this is just a nice visual graphic. I can't click in anything. Now back in here, I'm going to go out of exit mode. Now, if I'm a managed service provider, there's a couple different things I can do in here, but what's important to note is I can actually look at different systems. So maybe if I am responsible for 3 or 4 customers, I can have all the customers on this system here. You'll see there's in this customer here, there's different customers that I'm looking at here. These are the most critical things. I can select this though and say, all right, but I only want to look at a specific customer. So I'm going to come in here and select the customer that I just want to look at. And you'll see in just a second, my whole dashboard is going to rebound to just this one customer, right? So you can see here, we only have 35 and 1. Before I think we had 4 and 58. So everything now modified down, even the changes, everything modified down to just this one customer. It's important to note that if you hard code at something like a server here, obviously that won't change. What that means is when someone with just access to that one particular customer logs on, this would be a blank dashlet. But because I have access to this, I can see it as well. So I can provide different levels of dashboarding. I can provide different examples. I can move up and down between different customers. I can share my dashboards, so on and so forth. The one last nice area to discuss here is under the monitoring dropdown, there's what's called a dashboard overview. What that does is allow you to flip through multiple dashboards at once. So if you think of like a big command center and you want to make sure the dashboards are processing and going through different things pretty quick, you can do that. So to do that, you're going to select the little settings bar here, and you're going to select the dashboards you want to flip through, and then the time you want it to flip through. So this is going through every 4 seconds. It's pretty fast. Let's say every 20 seconds. And now the dashboards are going to flip through every 20 seconds. These 3 dashboards will flip through. So you can kind of always have eyes on multiple dashboards at once. In this session, we reviewed a quick overview on dashboarding. We created a different dashboard example with different examples within a single dashboard, and also reviewed how this can be done over multi-tenant based on customer and user. Please go ahead and play with the different dashboards. There's a lot of different ways we've seen done, a lot of different ways we do it internally as well that can show different types of data. There's all the different information and data that can be brought up into Avantra can pretty easily be parsed and shown. And please review any of our formal documentation as well.